Oh, welcome to the Sharpe Way Show. So happy to have you with me here this evening, a little bit past 7 p.m. on the East Coast. Made it almost on time. Not too bad. Not too shabby at all. I had a little accident today. Cut myself a bit and don't think I'll be going to urgent care, but maybe we'll see. If I start bleeding out all of a sudden, you will know that I've gone too far. But no, I was a minor accident, sadly with the blade, but that's okay. I still made it here on time. See that? All of this, and I'm still on time. So not too shabby at all. Boy, did I have a good weekend. Some of you may have seen I was out and about this weekend, and Michael asked right away. Thank you so much, Michael. I'm glad you remember. How was your weekend, Larry? You look good out and about the state. I did 8 total events, 2 prisons, because if you're paying attention in New York State, we are having a prison strike. The corrections officers are striking. And 6 actually eating events where I would go into someone's restaurant and meet people. It was actually pretty good. Met lots of people. I am surprised how many people wanted to come out and talk to me, even though I haven't announced that I'm running for anything, which was a very pleasant surprise. Sometimes I go out, I just never know. I'll go out to an event and like one guy will show, and I will sometimes go out and 20 people will show. It all depends upon, where I am, what time of day, all those things. So yeah, that kind of thing. We'll see. So there we go. Claudia says, Larry, I'm putting a tetanus shot. I am not. So I guess I could be in trouble. I probably shouldn't be cutting things like that, but I did. Thank you, Matt, for becoming a new member. Well, not new, but a member again. How about that? Thank you for becoming a member again. That's good. 100%. So yeah, there we go. All good for that. Lunatic says the tetanus shot includes the MMR vaccine. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't gotten any of those things in, I don't know, some kid. No. Marine Corps. When you're a Marine, they just give you the shots. You just get the shots. So whatever shots they gave me when I was 18, 19 in the Marine Corps, that's the last shots I got. So I got those. So whatever that is, that's what I got. So yeah, there we go. So looking over at Rumble, Joel says, I've reposted your Larry Sharpe at the prison pieces on several of the CO strike related posts and comments. Oh, thank you. Right. Thank you. I appreciate that. Look, I do want the CEOs to know that we do have to make some real change here. It does matter, and people need to understand that. So yes, I appreciate that. Thank you for that. That's an amazing thing. So yeah, we had a good weekend, met dozens of people. I don't think I broke 100 if you include the CEOs. I probably met 30 to 40 supporters over the course of the 6 meetings, and probably same 30 to 40 CEOs in the course of those couple of prisons. So it was good. I took pictures, chatted, got some good information, and I'll be doing a show tomorrow, 1 p.m. My radio show, of course, Western New York, where a bunch of prisons are. I'll be focusing on the corrections officer strike and the prisons tomorrow. So I'll be focusing on those tomorrow at 1 p.m. if all you guys want to watch that one. But tonight, not what I'm talking about. Tonight, I want to talk about the Ukraine issues and concerns, what I think was the problem, what happened, what didn't happen, what will happen. And I have a little bit of I told you so. I know I kind of have it. But I called this. You're going to say, wait a minute, Larry, would you call it last year? No. I called it 3 years ago. Yes. I called the outcome of this war 3 years ago. Larry, that's BS. Do you have receipts? Of course I do. So this is actually me, because I bring receipts. You know it. I would tell you, go check it out. I say this stuff live. If I'm lying, you can hand me whenever you want. This is from a show I did with a guy named Dylan Burns. If some of you have been watching me for a while, you might know Dylan. Dylan is far more left than I am politically, far more left. However, he is an honest guy, a good man who wants change, and he 100% supports Ukraine in this war. I'm not even close. He is all about Ukraine. But he didn't just say, I love Ukraine, and puts a flag, on his, Twitter account. No. He literally went to Ukraine for over a year. And he might still be there actually, but for over a year, and he came back and went there, but for over a year and covered the front lines as, I'm not joking, frontline press. Where he is right now in this picture, he's in Ukraine in this picture. And this is from a year and a half ago. Now, this is from a year and a half ago. I know I look exactly the same because I don't age, but that's okay. Actually, I age a lot, actually. But it just looks, I still look good. How about that? Yes, I still look good. But this is from that. And this is him talking about, I wrote him a note because we've been friends for a while saying, look, I hope you're okay. Looks like what I've been saying is true, because he was physically in Ukraine.
Sadly, it looks like my prediction of Ukraine is coming true. We have given just enough to prolong the war so we can study the tactics for our own military training, and we've depleted our stores enough to validate massive increases for the military-industrial complex.
This is what I wrote to him. This is what I wrote to him a year and a half ago. And then this is from the year before when he had a conversation about this, when I said what I said.
They're sacrificing thousands of Ukrainians for it, and now the U.S. is starting to lose interest. We'll be setting up, quote, you put like in quotation marks, peace talks by the end of the year, and Ukraine will have gained nothing except for debt from a bunch of U.S. banks and contractors to clean up this mess. It is really a shame that our government continues to do this, and our populations keep squabbling over the L and R paradigm. When you say LR paradigm,
left right
paradigm. Okay, got you.
So yes, Mike says you said when Trump gets in office, that's not what I said. No, that's what Mike Voss said. I didn't say that. I said that he gets in the office, he will try to end it, and if anyone can end it, it will be him, and that I think he will end it, but not when he got to office. I said exactly the opposite. You will never find anything. You can look. Mike, you will never find me say when he gets into office, it'll end. I never said that. I said the opposite. I had a fight with Mike Voss on this show. Mike Voss said it will be done before he even gets into office. Remember, he said that 24 hours. I said no. I said I hope he ends it this year. And I think he can. Mike, I think Trump can end this. I do think he can. I never said it will. You cannot find that anywhere. That never happened. Incorrect. Not what I said. You must have heard me wrong. You must have heard me wrong. That's not what I said.
I thought R meant Republican. I didn't know what L stood for. Okay, LR paradigm. I hope you stay safe. Okay, so
now, I hope you stay safe because he was literally on the front line.
You don't think that the aid to Ukraine has been successful? Would that be the shortest way of summarizing your position?
And I think it was on purpose, right? When you and I talked about a year ago, I remember it was about a year ago.
Yeah.
One of my biggest worries was that we would just be here a year later in a very similar position with a whole lot more dead Ukrainians, a whole lot more dead Russians. And all that's going to happen is Americans going to be able to increase the military-industrial complex. It validates the military.
Now, I said that a year earlier from this, and this is a year and a half ago. So again, literally 2.5, almost 3 years ago, I talked about this.
Military-industrial complex, and we're going to write a whole bunch of new field manuals.
Which we are doing.
The price for writing these field manuals is the arms and legs of Ukrainian youth.
And literally now America, by the way, in case you know this, we're finally building a new tank. Yes, we've had the Abrams for so long, but the Abrams went over there, got blown up, and we were like, you know what? Let's make a new tank. Not just that, all the Russian tanks that got blown up, nobody wants to buy them anymore. So now we have to make a new tank. We'll make a new tank, so they'll buy that tank.
I have no trust in the American government to do what's the right thing. I think they will only use this to sacrifice other people so that we can grow our empire. And not empire meaning physical empire, meaning military-industrial complex empire. Because what also happened is the world watched Ukrainians destroy Russian tanks.
Yep.
So now all those people who were thinking about buying Russian tanks are rethinking. Wait a minute, we buying Russian tanks, German tanks, American tanks?
This is one of the reasons why the greatest Russian tank, the T-14, is not in play. Why didn't they put their best tank in play? Because if it starts getting blown up, nobody will buy it.
So now we're even picking up new markets from this of people who used to be buying Russian tanks. We watched the Russian tanks get blown up. So even that's happening. And that's now sacrificing both Russians and Ukrainians. So the Germans are using this as a reason to bring and to explode their military-industrial complex.
And you've
because
seen that
they've been
happen
trying
too.
to build the military for decades, but their system is anti-military. I understand why. So they're against it. But now they can say, look, we've lost Leopard tanks. We have to be able to rebuild these things.
I want you to be clear. This was a year and a half ago.
And this is what Schultz is going to be using to now increase the German spend on building their military-industrial complex. And that's my biggest issue. I thought that was going to happen, and I feel like exactly that's happening. And I think a year from now, once we feel that we've gotten enough and we've sucked the Ukrainians and Russians dry, we're going to have peace talks in wherever, Saudi Arabia or Norway or whatever. I don't know where.
Dubai is where they were happening.
Someplace.
Oman, maybe.
We're going to have peace
somewhere like
talks.
that.
Yeah, Oman, whatever. And we're going to find a spot, and we're going to set the lines almost the same as they are now. There may be a little bit of a wiggle room here or there to make somebody feel a little bit better, but the Russians are going to have a chunk of Ukraine. Ukraine's not going to have a full country. They're going to end it, and now in come U.S. banks to finance the repair of Ukraine. And they're going to.
Now, I said U.S. banks because that's what I believe was going to happen. It may not be the banks. I think it will be. But if anything, what does Trump want to do? He wants to make the mineral rights. Yes. So U.S. contractors come in either way. U.S. contractors come in either way.
Finance the entire thing, and Ukraine's going to be in debt for the next 30 years to U.S. banks. That's always been my worry.
So,
and that's all I wanted to say. I did a whole thing. If you guys want to watch that, it was over 2 hours long. You can check it out if you want to. Just put in Larry Sharpe, Dylan Burns, and you'll see it if you guys want to watch that. Again, a year and a half ago, because we also did a year before that. So a year before that, I did it. I did it with him. Then I came back for a year later. Maybe this year I'll do a 2-year one. But yes, that's the issue. This was never just going to walk away ever. This was going to be a problem. America was going to get tired of it, and Ukrainians were going to be screwed. And when I said that, all I got from people who supported Ukraine was literally Putin puppet, Putin puppet, Putin puppet. And I kept telling people, it's not about being a Putin puppet. It's about this is how it's going to end. It is unfair. I get it. And it sadly doesn't matter. Now you might go, but wait a minute, Larry, it's unfair. The Ukrainians got invaded. And it doesn't matter. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying nobody cares. The reality of it is Ukraine was used by the Western powers to fight Russia. That's what happened. That was going to happen. I said that 2.5 years ago. It was so obvious. America, when we go in, the military complex doesn't care if they win or lose the war. Remember, America hasn't won a war since World War II. We haven't won a war in 80 years. Keep that in mind. America has not won a war in 80 years. We've either lost or had a draw. That's it. And does anybody care? No. Why? Because the military-industrial complex keeps growing. Remember, when countries fight, Michael say Greta, that's not a war, Mike. That's not a war. You can't call Greta was 2 days, whatever the hell, but that's not a war. Anyway, but my point being, in any case, if you're a country and you fight a war and you lose a war, you could be devastated. Look at Germany, Japan, Italy, etc. You can be devastated. But if you're an empire, you survive on war. That's what you do. Every empire is always at war. America's always at war. British Empire was always at war. Roman Empire, always at war. Chinese Empire, always at war. Every empire is always at war. Spanish Empire, always at war. When you're an empire, you're always at war. It's how it works. Persian Empire, always at war. Egyptian Empire, always at war. When you're an empire, you're always at war. That's how it works. We are an empire. We're always at war. We don't have to win them. Doesn't matter. We make money on them. That's how we grow. The French Empire, for the short time that it was always at war. It's how it works. And it isn't because Americans hate or don't like Ukraine. It isn't because it's fair or unfair. That wasn't what I was talking about. And people were so mad because I was saying America's not going to give Ukraine what it needs to win. It's not. Putin puppet, you like Russia, whatever. That's because it goes back to the same old thing. Just shame. Shame Larry, shame Larry, shame Larry. Shame him, shame he's bad guy. No. Larry wanted people to not die. Larry wanted this war to end off the bat because this was going to happen. So now we're at basically the same spot we were, give or take, right? Russians have a bit more than they had a couple years ago. A whole lot more dead Russians, a whole lot more dead Ukrainians. For what? For what? And then response. But the war is illegal. As I've told you a gazillion times here, there's no such thing. That's a thing we just made up. Who's going to enforce it? Nobody. Nobody's going to enforce it. So it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. With that in mind, I'm going to go to what happened in that room with Zelensky and Trump and JD Vance. Now, with what I just said in mind, what you found is the press would go out of their way to attack Trump or attack JD Vance on not calling Putin a bad guy. I know a lot of people got mad about that. They did. And they love Biden because Biden said, he's a killer. He's a killer. Hillary said, he's a killer. He's a terrible guy, whatever. Why does that matter? For all of you who are listening now, who thought it was so critically important for Trump to call Putin a bad guy or call Biden a bad guy, I would ask you a serious question. Okay, say he did. Say tomorrow, Trump goes, Putin's a killer or whatever. He says something like that. Does it change anything? It's virtue signaling. Biden and Hillary Clinton did it because they never planned to end the war. They never planned to end the war. So they don't care if Putin's mad at them. They plan to keep that war going forever. This was going to be Afghanistan 2.0. This was going to be a 20-year war in Ukraine, just like Afghanistan was. Trillions upon dollars, and they both saw it. So of course they call him a killer. They had no plan whatsoever to end this war. Now Trump does want to end the war. And as I said earlier, Trump didn't realize how hard that was going to be. He thought he was going to walk in the door and say, I'm Trump. And I said, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. All of a sudden, that's not going to happen. I said, I hope he can end it this year. 6 months since he got elected, and he said he'd have it done before Inauguration Day. He said in 24 hours. That didn't happen. But that's what he said. And I said, no way, because this is way too big for that. I've been following this thing. And how much money's there, and they want it to be, again, why, if you wanted to end the war, would you call one side a killer? You wouldn't, because they didn't want to end the war. Trump is not calling him a killer because he doesn't want to end, because he wants to end the war. Hard for me, I'm going to go to him and go, hey, Matt, buddy, I want you and I to talk about stuff. By the way, you're a terrible person. You're a horrible human being. Oh, can we do a deal? You can be like, Larry, what's wrong with you? Get out of here. Yeah. So in that case, Trump is correct. Trump is correct in not insulting Putin. He's also correct in saying, I'm on nobody's side. There is no way you can negotiate a peace by being on someone's side. So he has to say that. That makes sense. Now, is he actually more on Putin's side? I don't know. To be forward, this is what I believe. I don't know this. I have no inside information. This is just my opinion. I actually think Trump doesn't care at all. That is my view. I think Trump doesn't care at all. That is my opinion. I have no inside information. That is my view. I think he just wants to get the credit for ending the war, which, by the way, would be amazing, and I'd be impressed. So if he's trying to impress me, I don't know if he is trying to impress me, but if he is, end the war, I will be impressed. I think Trump wants to be the peacemaker. He wants to be the big cool guy. And to be forward, I don't care if that's what he wants. If that solves the problem, if that ends the war, let him be the cool guy. I'll give him all the credit. All good. I'm not mad if that's what he wants to do, right? All good if that's what he wants to do. I don't mind at all. Let him. All good. So that's what I think. I don't think he actually cares. But he was right to say, don't talk the bad things, right? Don't say bad things. I get it. Now, sadly, and I don't know if this is true or not, Zelensky clearly has issues with Putin. I get it. I think I would too, right? I think I would too. But he has issues with Putin. I get it. I understand that. There is a chance that he didn't get it, that Zelensky didn't get what Trump was saying. Like, I think Zelensky might have misunderstood. His English is good, but not that good. Here is the problem with that. When Zelensky started talking, right, when he started talking about it, like bringing up, like, what do you mean by this and that kind of thing? What side do you mean? Like when he started talking a lot that way, he might have been confused. I don't know if he was, but he might have been. If he was, why in the hell didn't his handler step in and go, wait, 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 wait? That's not what he meant. That's not what it is. Why can we stop? He didn't do that. So if he was confused, his handler failed him because his handler should have said, that's not what he meant. Let me retranslate. Stop talking. Here's what he really means. If he was confused, he might not have been confused. He might have just been pissed off and made a mistake. Because here's the part. He made a mistake starting trouble. He shouldn't have. But J.D. Vance also screwed up. And people get mad at me, I know. I heard already. J.D. Vance was standing there for Trump, standing for... Yeah, this is diplomacy. Don't stand up for people. This is diplomacy and public diplomacy. Don't do that. Trump was right with what he said. Zelensky was either confused or wrong, or both, either one. He should not have said what he said. So if I give him the benefit of the doubt, he was confused. If I don't, in which case his handler screwed up. If I don't, he just got pissed off, let his emotions go. Bad idea. But then J.D. Vance let his emotions go too. Dude, stop. So he's talking trash. Now Zelensky's talking trash. Why didn't a handler step in and go, dude, stop. Don't do this. The handler didn't step in to save Zelensky. JD opened his mouth. And of course, what's Trump going to do? Trump is Trump. Trump jumped on. Now, I think Trump was wrong for this. I think Trump should have tried to calm it down. I think he should have. I think that was a mistake. I think he started correctly with what he said. That was the right thing to say. I think Zelensky either screwed up or was confused, one or the other, but either should have done it. Then JD stepped in and he shouldn't have. He should have kept his stop, don't make shit worse, which he did. And then Trump jumped on board and made stuff even worse when he should have been like, okay, let's calm things down. Let's stop, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden pissed off. Trump's mad and JD's mad because guy didn't dress right. Wrong reason to be mad. Wrong reason to be mad. You can say if you want to, well, he should have worn a tie or whatever. Maybe, but so now more people got to die because you don't like his dress code? No. That part was wrong. They shouldn't have done it. That part was wrong. And now they're still mad at each other. They might go, well, it doesn't matter, Larry. You might tell me. Larry, doesn't matter. Why doesn't it matter? Because he's going to go back, and come back and try this again and blah, blah. Maybe. Maybe not. I'm going to give you what I think could happen either way. And I'm also going to give you the actual answer, what Zelensky should have done. The gangster move that he should play next. He won't. But it's a gangster move he should play. And I will tell you what I would tell him to do in a couple seconds. First, I want to say, guys, if you like what you're hearing, do me a favor. Click the button known as like. Yes, I did some I told you so's because I'm just so damn often right. It's true. I am very often correct. From years ago, and I bring the receipts, you see it. I get how this works. That's why I tell you how it works. And I'm going to give you some inside baseball here coming up in a second. If you like it, click the button known as Lima, India, Kilo, Echo. If you have not shared this already or repost it, please do so. Post it, reshare it now, put it into a Facebook group, whatever the case may be. Do something like that, one of those things. It does matter. If you have not followed me already on Facebook, X, and Rumble, I don't know why you hate the children. I love the children. You should too. So do that. Subscribe on YouTube if you have not already. Do so, please. And select all notifications when you subscribe. Otherwise, you don't do it. You might go, Larry, why should I subscribe? I already have. Here's the reason. Because very often, YouTube decides, for some reason, you're a bot and just unsubscribes you. I don't know why it does it, but it does. So please do that. You can super chat me if you want to or rant me on Rumble. And here's the best part. If you super chat me or Rumble rant me, there's a chance that you'll get picked up on a Sharpe Way Short. And your question will be in a Sharpe Way Short. You'll be even extra famous. You're like, I'm already famous, Larry. You'll be more famous. So super chat me or Rumble me, or Rumble rant me. You have a better chance of popping up on one of my shorts. I've been putting up shorts recently. Have you noticed? I've noticed. I hope you have. You can also become a member, $49 per month. Click that join button and become a member, $49 per month. The more time we're doing this, the less time I'm working, which means I don't stress and then cut myself and then bleed all over the place. I don't like bleeding everywhere. I mean, I have many times, but I don't like bleeding all over the place. You can also do it if you want on Rumble, but you must click subscribe only during the live on Rumble. I don't know why, but that's what I do it. So any of those would be nice. All right, I want to go to a couple other things here if I can look. And looks like Garrett coming in. Thank you so much, Garrett. 10 Sharpe Way memberships. Guys, grab those memberships if you can. Remember the rules. If you happen to get $10 million this week, you may not take one of Garrett's memberships. If you got $10 million this week, you got to pay. You got $10 million, don't complain. If you didn't get $10 million this week, you may take one of Garrett's memberships, okay? So whichever one happens, don't lie. It's the honor system. So if you got $10 million, I expect you to not take the Sharpe Way membership. If you didn't, it's fine. Don't worry. That's the rule. If you got $9 million, you can take it. 10 million is the cutoff. 10 million or more, you may not take the membership. I don't think any of you got it, but if you did, let me know. I'd love to hear. And if you got $10 million this week, that would be amazing if any of you did. So that's the only rule that we have to worry about. All right. I do want to bring this piece up if I could. Afterwards, of course, Zelensky said, an agreement to end this war is very far away. Zelensky went back to Europe, and the Europeans were all on him. They were like, yay, I love you. You're great. We love you. You're awesome. They were very positive. The French talked about literally putting troops in Ukraine. The British talked about literally putting troops in Ukraine. They were like all on board, all in, all in. So he felt great. And then he said, but then the Ukrainians said, yeah, we're going to do this all, but we kind of need America. So we want to. We love you, man. We kind of need America too. That's what they told him. So now he's like, well, maybe I got to go talk to America again. Well, Trump wasn't happy about that. He was not happy. In fact, let me give you a little bit of thing. Fox News, he was not happy. And this is an example of that, if I could show you real fast. You'll see that Trump wasn't happy about that at all.
At Ukrainian President Zelensky just a short time ago on President Zelensky's comments in London yesterday during a briefing where he said, quote, an agreement to end the war is still very, very far away, and no one has started all these steps yet. President Trump responded to Zelensky by saying, quote, this is the worst statement that could have been made by Zelensky, and America will not put up with it for much longer. It is what I was saying. This guy doesn't want there to be peace as long as he has America's backing and Europe. In the meeting they had with Zelensky, stated flatly that they cannot do the job without the U.S. Probably not a great statement to have been made in terms of show of strength against Russia. What are they thinking? The Democrats are.
Yes, Democrats, though, they're like, this is the funny part. So many people are like, this is great for America. Democrats like, nope, this is
aren't
all
outraged by President Zelensky.
Terrible.
They're mad at President Trump.
Donald Trump and J.D. Vance.
Wait a minute. Democrats are mad at Trump? That's never happened before.
And Putin believe that they're going to intimidate and bully and threaten President Zelensky to join the club of corrupt and unprincipled leaders. They will literally need to wait until hell freezes over twice, because this is a man who is committed to the survival of his country.
The propaganda is what's coming out of.
It's propaganda. See that? That's what it is. Shelley, you don't get it. It's propaganda.
J.D. Vance's mouth, and it's Russian propaganda.
I saw the meeting as a despicable display of bullying by the president.
It was Vice President Vance, particularly, who was on the offense, who was berating President Zelensky.
It is absolutely shameful what is happening right now. The White House has become an arm of the Kremlin.
They're an arm of the Kremlin. Now, I know I'm kind of teasing, but I go back to my same thing. What are the Democrats? I was talking about this earlier today with on another show I was on. I was saying how in New York State, the Republicans have become the party of Democrats bad. Across the country, Democrats have become the party of Republicans bad. This goes right back to Orange Man bad. It's shame, 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 shame. Okay, what's your answer? Just keep giving them money, I guess? Maybe. What's their answer?
I have never felt such shame about American policy before. And
Shame.
I don't know how
They use the name more
our
than
allies
once.
trust us after this.
Putin and his cronies are probably popping champagne bottles right now.
We have someone that is occupying the White House. And as far as I'm concerned, he is an enemy to the United States.
So now he's the enemy of the United States. Trump is that. Have they learned nothing? Correct. They have learned nothing. And I'm not saying that Democrats shouldn't fight Trump. Of course they should. Of course they should. They're Democrats. Of course you should. Republicans should fight Democrats. I get that. I'm not mad at that at all. They should do that. My issue is they have learned nothing. They are simply shaming again. Where is the Democratic answer? Where's the Democratic answer? Why aren't they coming up with an answer? Their answer has been the same thing. Just throw enough money at the Ukrainian war to make sure nobody wins. That's exactly make sure we have a 20-year Afghanistan. That's been their answer. Well, if you care so much, Democrats, and I believe some Democrats do, particularly the Democratic voters, I think many Democratic voters actually do care. If you care that much, why don't you have a plan to stop it? Either a real peace treaty or all-out war. Push the Russians out. I'm not joking. And I said this literally 3 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago. And I said it, believe it or not, on Dylan Burns' show. I said, if this is the existential threat they're telling us, if that's true, why aren't Americans there fighting? Americans fought in Vietnam. Americans fought in Afghanistan. Americans fought in Iraq. Why aren't they fighting now in Ukraine if it is that much of a deal? It isn't. That's the same point. It's the Democrats going, if the Democrats honestly believe that, if they were like, this is an existential threat, he's going to go across and invade whatever, the rest of Europe and destroy the free world, if they believed it, they'd be like, let's declare war or authorize use of force. There'd be troops, American troops in Ukraine. Of course there would be. Marines would have invaded Crimea already and taken it. We would have taken it, by the way, just saying, if Marines land, they take it. Marines would have already taken Crimea back. Of course that would have happened. They don't believe it. This is just more Orange Man bad. That's all it is, because they have no answer. So here comes Trump still moving forward. So, all right, I went through that piece. The piece that I thought was kind of important, though, with all of that is, all right, so what should Zelensky have done? I'm going to give you the most gangster thing he could do now. If I was, he obviously is not listening to me, but if I was his guy, his close guy right now, he's in trouble. Now, I've told you before, Zelensky is going to leave. And I thought he was going to go to Florida. Still may be true, but now I heard he also has a place like in the Middle East, like Dubai or something. So he might be in Oman or Dubai, but he's probably going to leave. However, the piece I want to bring up here is, what should he do? He's in trouble now. On the battlefield right now, the Russians are still winning. That's true. Trump is correct in saying the Russians are winning. That's true. If they actually cut off aid, the Russians are going to win even more. They're going to take more land. They're going to win. That's going to happen right now. If Zelensky wanted to be a real gangster, here's what he would do. He would literally go into a bunker. I'm not joking. He would go into an actual bunker, like Hitler's old bunker. He'd go into a bunker with only people that he trusts around him, heavy security. Then he would publicly reach out to Putin and say, I am prepared to discuss total surrender. Please stop the fighting as of a certain time, whatever, whatever, noon Thursday, whatever time is, right? I'm prepared to do total surrender. I mean that I'm prepared to talk about me stepping down. I'm having that conversation too. And inputting a Russian-backed governor for the next 3 years of martial law that a Russian council will look over to make sure we do things right. I'm prepared to surrender all of the Ukrainian military equipment and all to the Russian military. I'm prepared to allow you to put troops on our border, on the border of Poland if you want to, on the border of Hungary, on the border of Romania, whatever you like. I'm prepared for you to be able to take over that land that's right near Moldova if you want it. I can talk about that also. And Ukraine has about 600,000, 800,000 soldiers. About 100,000 are actually really well trained. Some of the Azov brigades, all of those guys. I'm prepared to have all of those integrated into the Wagner group. I'll discuss all of that. You may go, wait a minute, Larry, the Wagner group? Yes. The Ukrainians would never go into the Russian army, but would they go into the Wagner group? Yes. Why would they go into the Wagner group? This has been done before. After World War II, many of the German SS units, they couldn't go back to Germany because what have you been doing for 30 years? What did they do? They joined the French Foreign Legion. I'm not joking. That was a massive increase. 50, 60, 70,000 German soldiers after World War II couldn't go back to Germany, so they joined the French Foreign Legion. Over 50% of the French Foreign Legion soldiers who fought in Vietnam and Indochina in the 50s were Germans. True statement. They all went over there. In fact, some of the French, the marching songs of the French Foreign Legion now are German songs, but they changed some of the words. You're not going to be talking about Kampfen für Deutschland, when you're in the French Foreign Legion. But yes, that's true. After Yugoslavia, a bunch of Yugoslavs, a bunch of Muslim fighters from there. After the Russians fell, a bunch of Russians went over there. So French Foreign Legion is full of them. Well, French Foreign Legion's got its ass kicked in Africa. You know who's in Africa right now? Wagner Group. Who pushed them out of West Africa? The Russians did. Wagner Group. Who pushed them out of East Africa? Russians did. Wagner Group. So I'm going to send 100,000 of my trained troops. I'll put them in the Wagner Group. Would you like to have them to go out and take West Africa, East Africa? Not just that. Since you can take all of Ukraine, you get all the mineral rights. I'm prepared to negotiate you having all of the mineral rights. So what would happen if he actually said that? This is gangster. He will not do this. This is what I'm saying he would do. He will never do this. You go into your bunker, you say that. Now all of a sudden the whole world hears this guy's nuts, going to give Ukraine away. All those mineral rights gone. Ukraine is going to be Russian. No more BlackRock. No more money comes back. No more mineral rights. Russian troops on the Polish border. All of a sudden, all that's true. Not just that, 100,000 Ukrainian soldiers now in Wagner Group to dominate all of East Africa, West Africa, and Syria. All those mineral rights gone, all Russian. All Russian. All of a sudden that begins to happen. What? Now, T-Bone comes out immediately and says, the CIA will whack him, Larry. That's why I said I go into a bunker literally with only people that I know, because you are correct, T-Bone. That's exactly accurate. But once he talks that game publicly, now the Russians go, I love this idea. We'll stop the war tomorrow. 100%. Guaranteed they stop the war tomorrow. Done. That's amazing. Let's just do that instead. Now the Chinese go, what? Did we just get all the mineral rights from Africa? For Russia? The Russians got it? China and Russia now best buddies. All of a sudden, they made that come closer together. With all of that happening, what would Trump and the Europeans do? They would immediately back him. They would have no choice. Trump looked at Zelensky and said, you don't have the cards. You don't have the cards. I'm Zelensky. I'm head back to my Ukraine. Now I got cards. I got the Polish border. I got East Africa. I got West Africa. How you like me now? I got lots of cards now. I got mineral rights. I got 3 parts of mineral rights. I got Chinese and Russia being together close. I got all the cards now, Mr. Trump. What you got? Trump be like, well, she's kidding. That's what would happen. That's what would actually happen. Now, he's never going to do that, because what he has to do after this, once he does that, is then say, and I'm going to leave. And he's got to be able to go someplace where he can be safe. That's probably going to be a Middle Eastern country. He's got to go to the Middle East. He can't go to America at that point, because T-Bone, you are correct, my friend. He's got to go to the Middle East. He's got to go to a Middle Eastern country like Saudi Arabia or Dubai, where him having an accident would not go over well with oligarchs. That's where he has to go. Something like that. He does that, he's fine. That's his way out of this. Now, he won't do it, but that's his way out. If it were me, that's what I do. Literally. I'm going to give all of it away. Think about it. No mineral rights for anybody. I'm giving all to Russia and China. They just all get it. Done. They all get it. And now I got Russian troops on the border, and I just gave the Russians 100,000 trained troops. And by the way, all of the European assets, I just gave them all the material. Every tank, every APC, every infantry fighting vehicle, I give them all of them. Take them all. Total surrender. All yours. Take all of them. Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to do that. But that's the gangster role. That's how you actually do it. You do that, they have to come back to him. There is no way Europe accepts that. No way Russia accepts or Trump accepts that. No way. No way. And if Trump would go against, say Trump is so stubborn, he goes, I don't care. Literally, the world will go against him, because they're not going to give up all of those mineral rights. Russia on the board, not going to give it up. Not going to happen. You would have Canadians against them, Mexicans against them. America would have to become completely isolationist. It's the only way to get around it. And America wouldn't take that. Like America wouldn't accept isolationism. America will take non-interventionism in a heartbeat. America would not take isolationism. They wouldn't do it. So weapons, thank you for the 499. The situation is war is a racket. Smedley Butler all over again. Smedley Butler, by the way, was a Marine Corps general. Correct super weapons. Absolutely right. It is a racket. And I always tell you that. It's about the cash. It's about the cash. I always keep saying it. People go, oh, it's about this. It's not. It's not. It's about the cash. It's always about the cash. I know it sounds so horrible and it sounds so weird, but it's always true. Lunatic says, if men could be men on an individual level, no reason for country versus country. We would actually have true security. Okay, the hard part about that, Lunatic, is as usual, you're not wrong, but we've raised, particularly Americans, but many people in this world, that when you have a problem, don't rely upon yourself, don't rely upon your family, don't rely upon your community, call the government. Think about what most people do when they have a problem. They call the government. I call a cop, I call 911, I call Social Security, I call somebody, right? I pick up the phone and I call somebody else. I call a government agency. It's what most people still do today. So I'm not saying you're wrong, but this is a massive culture change. It's why, if you notice, all of my policies that I always bring up are ways of bringing back community. You're right, but if we don't get community and culture to change, you might as well ask a cat to bark, right? Ask a dog to eat with a fork and a knife. It's impossible. You have to train them this way first. So I hope that this makes sense. I know you don't always agree, but I hope it makes sense. So yeah. All righty. Let me grab, if I could, a bunch of comments. I hope that was an interesting take on this, because it's the second piece that's out there also, which is the Canada-Mexico thing. But let me first keep that one. There is a chance right now, not very high right now, but it just depends on the next week or two. There is a chance this backfires on Trump. It's a chance. The odds are Trump is going to still make it out pretty well on this. The odds are he probably still will. The odds are Zelensky is going to come back, say something, try to redo stuff. That's the odds. There's a chance that it won't. If Trump is too aggressive or so aggressive, or if the Europeans actually say, we don't care anymore. The other issue is Canada and Mexico. If Canada and Mexico also get angry, there is a chance that everyone kind of teams up on America in that regard. That's a chance. Not sure it's that high of a chance right now, but I think that will be the fear that we'd have. So, or a fear that I would have. Let me grab some comments so we can grab some if we can. All right, let's see here. Vivek says, this should be good. I think a deal will get done. It will just take longer, and Ukraine may have to take an extra concession. Here's the problem. At one point, how can Ukraine take extra concessions, right? When you have the Europeans saying no, the Europeans have to also agree. If that makes any sense. Because if they're going to keep throwing, if they're going to throw, Vivek, if they're going to throw French troops and British troops into the fray, that changes everything. If they actually do it, they're talking trash. We'll see if they do it. That will be the issue, right? Will they do it or not? And look, if it takes longer and extra concessions, that just means more people are going to die. Russians and Ukrainians are dying every day. Young men are losing their arms and legs and being blown up by drones and being crushed every day. It's not good. I want this to end tomorrow, yesterday. So yes. Kim says, I think of being a member, Kim. Biden handout seemed to have spoiled Zelensky, maybe. I think you're right. This is a problem across not just the globe, but our own country. Uncle Joe writing checks spoils people. Why should I have a plan, Kim? I don't need a plan. Things go wrong. Uncle Joe writes me a check. Plan. Who needs a plan? Plans for chumps. Uncle Joe's writing checks. I don't care about this. Absolutely. So, all righty. Let's see here. I'm looking over at Instagram, and if I get it right, is your mama bear? That's who it is. Is your mama bear? I've watched it many times. I think it's the inverse. I've heard people that don't speak English in the words they use totally change the meaning. Z looks sideways and asks what was said. Okay, so maybe I'm wrong. So no, I should say wrong. I wasn't sure. I said either he was mistaken and made a mistake, or he just screwed up. So in this case, if you're right, he just did something dumb. He should not have said that. He was wrong to say it. He should not have said what he said. Zelensky made a mistake then. He either didn't get it or just screwed up. One or the other. Either way, bad. Like either way, what Zelensky did was bad. So I think you're right. He screwed up either way. So yeah. Joel over on Rumble says the Dems are, and whatever the Dems are, anti whatever Trump says, so they will sound like they're defending waste, fraud, and corruption, being anti-Doge. Yes. And again, look, I get it. They don't like Trump. I think he's wrong. Okay. It's politics. What's your answer? I gave you my answer if I'm Zelensky. I gave you the answer if I'm him, right? If it's me, if I'm the president and Zelensky says that stuff, I calm it down. I calm my VP down. I calm it down right there. And I say, we're going to make a deal here. And I have him sign the goddamn papers. Because to be forward, I know some of you don't like the deal. I actually like the mineral deal. I think it's a good idea. Why would you say, why is it that? One, again, to the earlier point of the CIA ending people, if the military industrial complex doesn't make money, somebody's going in a box. That's how that works. Somebody's going in a box. Well, I would like nobody to go in a box. The military industrial complex does not want to kill people. It doesn't care. It just wants to make money. Well, if we give them away, make money off of the mineral rights, no one has to go in a box. And we can end this war. And there's no need for a 20-year grift. We've got a 20-year grift. It's called mineral rights. I'm actually okay with it. And some of you might go, but Larry, it's wrong. It's this. Yes, I'm not saying you are incorrect. I'm saying I want people to stop dying. That's what I'm saying. And losing arms and legs and a bunch of young men and women being blown to pieces. I would rather that not happen. If that means mineral rights it is. And the funny part is, I think it was Johnson, Speaker Johnson. He said the quiet part out loud. He said why it was right. He said, this is very good because then America would have a financial interest in Ukraine. And everybody knows America fights for financial interest. Yes, that is very true. Not for our interest, but for financial interest. Yes. So the Russians go, wait a minute, we better not invade. Why? Because they got mineral rights. Okay, we were just fighting. Okay, America didn't have mineral rights before. They got mineral rights. So they will literally fight us. They will invade. That's what Americans do. When our big companies want something, I guess we invade Iraq. I guess we invade Afghanistan. I guess we invade in Russia. That's how that works. And they know it. So he was actually right. Lunatic, thank you for the $1.99. Everyone that doesn't call government are criminals. Everyone that doesn't. Yes. Oh, I like that. You're right. If you don't call the government a criminal because you didn't report it. Yes. You have to report it. They force you to call government. Yes. Wow. I hadn't even thought of it that way. It's true. Why didn't you report this? Ooh. Yeah. Absolutely. Very good point. So, all right. Let me go here if I could. A couple more. All righty. Okay. Dave says the deal failed because Zelensky doesn't trust Putin to keep his word. And he thinks the Americans will just make a deal with Putin to extract natural resources from the Ukraine after Putin takes over. That is one of my issues. Dave, I think you've made a very valid point here. I understand Zelensky has issues with Putin. I do. I get it. I would too. The problem is, to the earlier point you saw from Instagram, is your mama bear? He shouldn't have said anything there. Keep your mouth shut, Zelensky. And JD Vance, keep yours shut too. Make that behind doors, behind closed doors. Make that happen there, not in the middle of the press. And now everyone has to now act up and be all crazy. I'm not saying he's wrong. We might just do that. In fact, there's the other problem. If he does play my gangster rule, does Trump just go, all right, let him take it over? Hey, Putin, what's the deal to get your minerals? Maybe. That's his only shot. Maybe. That's it. But then to be forward, even if that happened, even if everyone said, okay, if he did my gangster move, gave everything to Russia, Trump said, I don't care. I'll just deal with Russia. I don't care. Let Russia take over everything. If Trump actually did that, Europe would break ties with America in that way of NATO. That would be the bridge too far. They break ties. They would just start building their own military. They would just walk away. You can see it already happening in Europe. They're saying it openly. The Brits are saying it. The French are saying it. The Germans are saying it. They're all saying we have to build our own military. We can't survive on America anymore. They're already saying it. That would end that, right? And if that happens, does that mean a trade war now? But again, even if that happened, Zelensky would live because make a deal with Putin. Hey, take everything. Can I just leave? Can I just leave? And then Putin go, yeah, get out. Just go. I'll take everything. Go to whatever, Oman, go to Dubai. Bye. Get out. Done deal. They may go, well, Putin might want to finish him off. No, why would he? Why would he? If he does the deal, Putin would want other people to know, if you do the deal, you get to leave. Now, that also happened, by the way, in Belarus. That happened also in Ukraine. Remember, there was the guy before Zelensky in Ukraine that was in trouble? He went to Russia. Putin took him. So that would also work. There we go. All right. Let me keep going down here if I could. All righty. Let's see here. I already covered that piece already. That is good. Lunatic is in the house. That's true. I appreciate that. All right. Mike says, show us the wound. There is my wound. I cut myself. Pretty deep, sadly. Really deep. This is actually 3 Band-Aids on it. Tight. Because it is really deep. I have a feeling I may need stitches. We'll see. But yeah, it's bad. Anyway, so I did show you my wound. So there we go. All right. All right. Colity says, tetanus can land you in intensive care unit. So we'll see. Maybe I'll go. Maybe. I'm just going to go. Yeah. So Kim says, what did you cut yourself on, Larry? The ad had that part covered. Oh, there it is. I was cutting vegetables, making a salad. And the problem is I don't always wear glasses. So sometimes I put glasses and I don't. And I just cut my finger open pretty badly. It's pretty deep. It's pretty bad. Blood everywhere. But what are you going to do? Things happen. So there we go. Lunatic says, F Ukraine. I think lots of people do think that. But whether you want to F Ukraine or not, and he goes on to say it's a Biden money laundering scheme. Whether you agree with that or not, we're there now. And we've committed now. So we do want to somehow wrap this up, right? We do want to do something like that. We want to find an answer. Michael says, Putin has achieved all his objectives, securing a land route to Crimea through Donbass. Maybe Putin can toss Zelensky at the crumb and leave him that bit of curse they still hold. I don't know what they're going to do. Here's what I know. Here's what I'm sure. And I said this 3 years ago. Ukraine's not getting its land back. It's not. And you can say to yourself, that's wrong, that's bad. Yeah. And true. We are not prepared to fight them. If we were, we should have done it already. And that was my entire point. If they were actually, again, I'll say this again, and some of you will be upset, but it's still true. If we actually believed, and if it wasn't just stories, that Russia was going to, take over Europe and blah, 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 blah. There's 500 million Europeans or something like that, right? If 500 million Europeans, there's 140 million Russians. So 140 million Russians take over 500 million Europeans. And out of those Europeans, 2 of those countries have nuclear weapons, the French and the British. And the Poles have one of the best militaries on the planet right now. They're just going to take them over. This war in Ukraine started in 2014. 2014. Even Zelensky will say that. So in 11 years, they took 20% of one country. So in 55 years, they'll take one country. So every 55 years, take a country. Is that what you're telling me? Stop. It's not a thing. That's a thing they made up. I've been saying it forever. It's the thing they made up. He's not going to keep going and take over the world. That's not a thing. They say that all the time. If they honestly believe that, why aren't Americans there? They told us that in Vietnam. Remember that? They told us that in Korea. If we don't destroy North Korea, the whole world becomes communism. Remember that? For those of you old enough? Remember Vietnam? It was called the domino theory. Once Vietnam goes communist and the whole world goes one domino, the rest go. Vietnam went communist. What happened to domino theory? Saddam Hussein's Hitler is going to take over the Middle East. What happened to that? He couldn't even take over Iran. All stuff they made up. When Trump gets elected, remember that gets elected, there's going to be no more elections. Remember that? He's going to make no more elections. What happened? What happened? He's going to build camps. He's going to put trans people in camps. Remember that story? If it were true, why would they let him become president? Because it's not true. If it were true, why aren't American troops in Ukraine right now? Because it's not true. That's the reason. It's propaganda so we can keep making cash. So we can keep making cash. That's what it is. So, John, thanks for being a member. I've been ready to stop giving billions to neo-Nazis since the war started. Me too. And you might say, well, Larry, are you saying they're not all Nazis? But are there? Yes. There are. There are. They exist. That's a thing. It does exist. And many of those are in Azov battalions. It's true. That's accurate. But here's the funny part. The SS, the Nazi part of the German army, which is the Azov is the Nazi part of the Ukrainian army. The SS, after World War II, went off to the French Foreign Legion. Tens of thousands of them. That's why you heard me say, John, Azov, they'll go off to Wagner Group. It's the equivalent. And they'll go fight in foreign wars someplace for the Russians. They'll fight in East Africa, West Africa, whatever. They'll go fight there, Middle East, Syria. They'll go fight there. Yes. And we can just leave them alone. Yes. Ray, thank you for the $5. From a libertarian POV, is the forced conscription of Ukraine the most despicable form of slavery ever? Kidnapping? Of course not. Let me be very clear about something. And I say this because it really does matter. Is it a form of slavery? Yes, it is. But it's not the same as slavery. Why? If you're conscripted, you still own property. If you're conscripted, you still have basic human rights. If you're conscripted, if you're married, you're still married. Your children are still your children. If you're a slave like in America, you have no rights. You don't get to have a family. You don't get to have any property. Your children are not yours. Your children are owned by your master. Your wife is owned by your master. It's not the same. So this most shit has to stop. It's not. It is a form of slavery. Yes, and it's bad. Yes, conscription is bad. But it's not slavery like I'm in the cotton fields. And I keep hearing that. Robbie Sauvé says that stupid shit too. No, it is not the most despicable form. It is a form. Correct. Not the most despicable. It's not. There's worse. And even in this world today, there's a bunch of women, particularly this mostly women, being trafficked, being put basically in slavery to be sex slaves. Way worse than conscription. Yes, way worse than conscription. Most conscripts don't die. Many do. Most don't. How do you get out of sex trafficking? Drug addiction or death. Most common. Most common. Drug addiction or death. And you are scarred, guaranteed, no matter what, the rest of your life. If you're conscripted, you might be scarred and you might not be scarred. You might not see combat. You might see combat. If you're a sex slave, you're basically seeing combat guaranteed. So it is not. It's not a thing. It is slavery, but it's not the most simple form. It's not. I mean, people do it voluntarily. Not these people, but many people do. It's not. It's not a thing. So anyway, I want to be clear on that one. I hear it all the time. Pete, thank you for being on time. 36 trillion, 218 billion, 923 million, 369,000, $370.10. Our national debt. And getting bigger all the time. Yes. James says Ukraine and Gaza could still be 20-year wars depending upon how things go. Yeah. James, I wish you were wrong. I wish you were wrong. But yeah, I wish you were wrong. But it could. It's still possible. The question is how do we make it work? Like, how does the military industrial complex make money on them? That's the issue. But probably 10 each maybe versus 20 each. Probably 10 each to make 20 will be my guess. So yes. AJ Black says, it's simple. Putin and Trump want peace, so there will be. Yes, that's true. They do both want peace. But Putin really wants something a lot of the people don't want. He wants peace and victory, and it to be obvious. That's the challenge. That's the challenge, right? He doesn't want to make it obvious that he gave in. That, again, none of it can't be done, but this is why it would take so long to have the conversations, Agent Black. It will take time. So yeah, it can happen. Absolutely. It just takes time. John says, too much money laundering happening for Democrats or Zelensky to want to end the war. I think Zelensky does want to end the war. I think he does. But I think he wants to end the war on his terms, which I think are not realistic right now at all. But I think he does want to end it. I think he does. But look, he's already made a bunch of cash. He's already got property in Florida. I forgot where is it? Dubai? What? Someplace in the Middle East. I don't remember where he has it, but he's got property there, and he's got an account there. He was just there like a month ago, and he was like checking on his cash. He's got like an account in some Middle Eastern bank. I don't remember. I feel like it's Dubai, but I could be off. Could be UAE. I don't remember. Whatever it is, one of those places. And he's got some stuff here in America and Florida. So he's fine. He's gonna be fine. He can end the war if he wants to. He's got to do it in the right place, and he's got to make sure, to the earlier point, that he doesn't get ended by the three-letter agencies. He has to make sure that doesn't happen either. He's got to be able to survive long enough to enjoy the cash that he has, squirreled away. Both of those things. Yes. So we'll see. We'll see how that works. So, all righty. Michael says Trump wants the Nobel Peace Prize. I agree. And if he were able to end with a peace treaty that both sides were happy with in both Ukraine and in Israel/Gaza, he would deserve one. I'm not joking. If he got both, he deserved one. I'm not sure we can get either this year. I hope he can. Again, and I said it before, if anyone can, it's him. Why? Because he's transactional. He wants a deal made. I don't think he cares about the fighting in Ukraine itself. He wants a deal made. And that, which is all people often look upon as a bad thing, in this case, I think it's a good thing. He just wants a deal made. He wants that Nobel Peace Prize. And I would be the one saying he deserves it. I'm saying it now. If he can do it, if he can get both the Gaza-Israel peace treaty made where both sides are satisfied and Ukraine-Russia peace made where both sides are satisfied, give it to him. Deserves it. 100%. That's not going to be easy. Mike goes on to say, because Obama got one. Maybe he is petty. That's possible. But again, I don't care. I'm okay with that. Let him be petty. Be petty. Be petty. Just get it done. I'm good. I'm good. Yes. Ryan, thank you for the $5. Larry, the problem with Ukraine is that there is a megalomaniac in charge who's addicted to money laundering that we have given him. Yes. But again, he went back to Europe thinking, well, all the Europeans will write me a bunch of checks. And they were very nice to him before, Ryan. They were very nice to him, patted him on the back, called him a great guy, Churchill 2.0, all that good stuff. I'm sure it felt nice. But they said, yeah, but we kind of need Americans. And that was the problem. So at one point, reality is going to hit him if it hasn't already. He's going to have to do something. He's going to have to do one of a couple things. One, literally reach out to Putin himself. Just do it himself. And just go, okay, let's have a conversation. I don't see him doing that at all. But that is an answer. That is one possible answer. I don't see him doing it. But if he does it, that's desperate. But that is an option. He could just go, you know what? All right, Putin, it's going to phone. I don't need stupid Americans or these Europeans. Let's negotiate a peace. That is an option you can do. And the longer this goes on, the more chances that, which is why I think this could backfire on Trump. It's possible. If Trump really just says, I won't do anything until you come back to me. If he actually does that, I'm going to let it go, taking the money away, let it go. Eventually, the line is going to collapse. That's going to happen eventually. The Ukrainians cannot hold the line forever. They can't. Eventually, it will collapse. Whether that's in a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever that time period is, it will collapse. And then you will see the Russian war machine begin to take 10, 20 miles a day. That doesn't happen now at all. But when that begins to happen, 10, 20 miles in a day, at that point, the war is over. So Zelensky has a couple choices. Literally flee. That's an option. Just flee and the country fall. And people do that. Literally get in a plane, fly to Dubai, bye, see you suckers, leave. So the guy in Afghanistan did, that president. He just got in a plane and left. That's an option you could do. Option two, He begs for a ceasefire and talks surrender himself and says, I will surrender. Please stop blowing my country up. Please stop the tanks from rolling. We surrender. That's his other option. Last option, if that happens, the Europeans physically put French, German, British troops in the trenches to fight the Russians. Wow. You see my point, Ryan? Those are only three options, right? He gets on a plane and flies away. That's a realistic option. He calls up Putin himself, says, hey, I can't do this. How do we stop it? What do we do? I'll surrender myself. How do we do it? Option 2. Option 3, there's German, French, and British troops, Polish troops, whoever, physically in the trenches fighting Russians. Do you see how this is the way it could turn on Trump? If Trump literally goes, I'm not talking to him, I'm going to be petty, and that happens, and the lines break, he's got 3 choices. That's it. There's no other choice. There's no other option. Let's just sits in a bunker and dies. No. Gets on a plane and flies away. Negotiates himself. How do I surrender? How do we stop it? Or you see European troops there. I think it's he calls to surrender himself or he flies to Dubai. One of those two. Takes his money and goes. That's what the guy from that's what Afghanistan guy, I forgot his name, the Afghanistan president. That's the guy what he did. He's like, okay. Oh, Taliban's here? All right, where's my plane? Get the bags of money, dear. Come and grab them. Literally, the bags of money. I'm not making that up. He had bags of money. Took the bags of money, got in a plane, flew away. That was easy. I like that one. Easy day. Yes. Ray says, thank you for the $5. How would this Ukraine peace settlement go differently if RFK Jr. was the prez? To be forward, I think RFK Jr. wouldn't have done it on his own. This is not his specialty. I think he would have grabbed some people who are experts and gone over there and tried to talk it out. He has sued before. He has mediated before. So that he's done. But in the specifics, he hasn't. He probably would have grabbed the people who know the area and gone over there himself and tried to negotiate. My gut says he would have done it with everybody possible because that's his personality. He would have grabbed everybody. I don't think he would have done a Putin RFK Jr. I don't think he would have been a Kennedy Putin. I think he would have started that like his father talking, right? Nixon goes to China. Kennedy says, Ich bin ein Berliner, right? I think he would have started by going there. And I think everybody got everybody together and said, let's have a conversation. How do we end this? That's what I think would have happened. My gut says that if RFK Jr. had won the presidency, that would have happened very early. In other words, they would be sitting down already now. Now, RFK Jr. knows about the military complex. Those are probably the people who got rid of his family. I'm not making that up. That's probably true. They got rid of his family. So he knows you go in a box. So he would have been a deal also in some way. Minerals or something. He would have found some answer, right? Minerals is a good answer, but he would have found an answer. Maybe he'd have found food answer, maybe like grain or something. I mean, there's answers. There are things in Ukraine that you could trade and swap for. We can make money. The easiest one, though, is just rebuilding contracts. That's the easiest one, right? Put Ukraine in debt for the next 50 years. That's the easiest way. Financiers don't mind. They like all the cash. So the easiest way is to put Ukraine in debt for 50 years. That's the simplest way. Mineral rights, though, is interesting also. That's what I think would have happened. But I think my gut says that with RFK Jr., we'd have already had a ceasefire. And the reason why is I think Putin would believe that he could get enough to be satisfied with a Kennedy. That's what I think he'd believe. Enough to be satisfied. So he can go back and say, see, I beat the Kennedys. I got what I wanted out of Ukraine, whatever. I think we could have done that. That's my gut. So we'll never know, sadly. We'll never know. So yes. All right. Mastermind Hour, how are you? He says, Zelensky called J.D. Vance a bitch in Ukrainian under his breath. Probably true. I mean, who knows? Probably true. That I'd be mad if I was Zelensky rapping something like, I'd be mad too. Yes. Ganjan88 says, negotiations and equals, keep J.D. Vance out of the room. What a moron. I think I'd keep him out too. Yes. The AC says, I think being a member, by the way. Plus, now they got that peace dividend, and we're able to shut down the cyber warfare center. This is the part that does bother me, AC, right? It does. And that is the idea that, well, we're getting mineral rights, so America's getting something. America's not getting anything. America is not getting anything, right? A bunch of big businesses and military complex going to get a whole bunch of stuff. We're not getting anything. Now, You want to make me happy? If I'm the president, I'll make you all happy. We get the mineral rights and every American gets a check. Then America gets something. I love it. I love it. Let's write the deal and let's do like what the Alaskans do, right? The Alaskans get a check every year because of the energy, all the oil in Alaska. We get our mineral rights deal in Ukraine, and whatever, 50% goes to the big corporation, whatever, 50% gets divvied up among every household and they get a check. Well, now we got something, AC. That'd be amazing. That ain't gonna happen. That's my alternate universe fantasy, like Marvel movie or something. That ain't gonna happen. But that should happen. There should be a peace dividend. Then maybe American people will get some. Pay a bill, pay some rent, whatever. Buy something nice for yourself, whatever. I love the idea. That'd be great. But if we did that, that would make us pro-peace, wouldn't it? You see all them Slav Ukrainians like, no. End the war. End the war. Yes, absolutely. So, all righty. Let's see if I can keep going down here. All right, Donna, how are you, Donna? I think Zelensky was looking to move towards being in NATO, and they wanted to cut him off. He was asking for guarantees. Yes, look, I get this, Donna. I do. I get where he's coming from. I do. He just shouldn't have said what he said, where he said it, when he said it. I get, if I was him, I'd feel the same way. Putin comes in, invades my country. My people are dying. I thought what he thought was going to happen was he was going to walk in, make some deals with Biden, get paid a bunch of money, get a cool, cheesy job, and life is good. That's what he thought. All of a sudden, he's a wartime president. People are dying all over the place. Now people threaten him. That's a whole. He didn't sign up for that. He thought he was going to get scammed, and him and Hunter Biden were going to get high together. That's what he thought. Didn't work out as planned. That's for sure. So yes. So anyway, all righty. If I can keep going here. Matchman goes on and says, my chicken laid 24 eggs this week, so I'm feeling a little guilty. I'm coming over. I'm going to grab me a couple. Yes. All righty. Lunatic says, money isn't real. It's a concept that we believe. It's a valuable exchange of goods and services. Only programmed humans clamor for paper money. Yes, but it does make life easier. That's for sure. It does make life easier. Daniel says UK will fund them. Maybe. Remember, the UK's broke. Right? UK's broke. They could throw some cash at them, but they're broke. All of Europe has to. If you take all of Europe and how much they've given, it's kind of like us. So all of Europe has to come into play and do this. And why would you throw this is the worst part. Why would you throw a bunch of money at them? You throw a bunch of money at them, it is going to take months. Here's the problem that Ukraine has. Ukraine hasn't lowered its draft age to 18 yet. They have to lower their draft age to 18 and then train all these people. They're training people sometimes 2, 3, 4 weeks. Nowhere near enough for them to have really savvy troops that can aggressively attack. So what are they doing? They're creating home guard units. And the home guard units, what they do is they basically sit in trenches and get bombed by Russians. I'm not joking. Right? So the Azov battalions, those battalions are actually highly trained. I know some of you don't like those battalions because of their ideology. I get it. Not mad at you for it. But I'm going to be very forward. If I had my country and it was being invaded, and the best units that I had that would defend and attack effectively had an ideology that a certain man with the funny mustache from Austria had, if that's what I got, then that's what I got. I would use them. Now, some of you may not like that, but I would use them because they're effective. When it comes to attacking the Russians, these are the best units the Ukrainians have. It's just true. They're the best trained. They're the most fanatic. And they have the most experience. They are the best units Ukrainians have. It's just true. So I would use them. I would not use them. The problem is most of the front line is just being filled with troops. How the current tactics work. The Azov battalions make an assault against the Russians, try to capture some land if they can. If they capture that land, they then withdraw. I'm not joking. They withdraw. And then regular Ukraine home guard units come in and dig in and create trenches. The Russians then bomb those trenches into oblivion and then retake them. then the A's up Italians counterattack. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. That's what's actually happening. So why would you give them money for that? I would, if I'm Europeans, I'd rather, look, again, if this is true, and this is an existential threat, and he's going to take over Poland next and invade Germany and Hungary, if that's true, why don't you have German troops there? Why don't you have French troops there? Why not British troops? The Brits said they're going to have troops there. The French said they have troops there. Put them there. The Poles, put them in there. The Poles said they might put troops in there. Put them in there then. Put them in there. Not just that. Put them in there and say, and I'm not joking, right? You want to play a hardcore game. I'm telling you, if this was real, they'd be playing hardcore games. And they're not. The hardcore game is the Poles send a unit, 2 units, 10, whatever. They send a bunch of units into Ukraine, put them in Ukraine trenches, and tell the Russians that these are NATO forces. If you attack these forces, you've attacked NATO. That's hardcore. If this is truly the end of the world, why aren't you doing that? If I believe that, that's what I would do. If I'm the president of Poland and I think the Russians are getting ready to just take over the world, I am putting Polish units into Ukrainian trenches and announce to the world, these are NATO forces. If you attack them, you are at war with NATO. That's what I would do. And then let the Germans, Russians, Poles, them all rethink, whoa, do we want this or not? And if we go, damn it, they're right, because we believe this is the end of the world, Putin's going to conquer all of Europe. That's true. Okay. Then why aren't Germans right next to him? And French next to them? And British next to them? And then why aren't Marines invading Crimea? Because none of that's true. Because none of that's true. That's the reason. That's the reason. I know you guys are mad. Some of you guys don't like it. It's still true. Robert says, nobody trusts Putin except Trump. There have been ceasefire agreements before. Putin ignores them. I'm not sure Trump trusts him either, Robert. I think Trump wants a peace treaty because he wants a Nobel Peace Prize. He wants that to happen, which, again, I don't care. Good. Let him have it. Just end the war. And I do think that Putin doesn't know what Trump will do. That craziness that Trump has can be very hard for his allies, but also hard for his enemies. Both. So, yes, both. I think that's true. So, anyway, all righty. Merlin says, my dad is a Dem and he was flustered at the way Trump treated Voldemort. That's funny. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. T-Bone says, we're trying to do to Ukraine the same thing we're doing to Iraq with the oil money. Yes, this is the military industrial complex again, T-Bone. Accurate. That's what they want. Yes. So, all righty. Let me grab some. Let me go to one more piece if I could. This piece is a little bit off. And it was the other issue. All right. Ryan says, Zelensky will eventually have to flee. Okay. What I would say is Zelensky will have to leave. He may not have to flee, right? He will have to leave. The hope is he doesn't have to flee. Zelensky, if he's savvy, and I don't know how savvy he is, but if he is, he will negotiate a way to where he doesn't have to flee, where he can just leave, right? He's got property in 2 other countries. Just pack up and get in a plane and go without having to flee. That's the smart move. I hope he can for his sake. I don't want anyone else to get killed or have an accident or whatever. And I'd like this war to end talking about it. That's what I think. Michael says, mind blown. I hope that makes sense, what I said at least. So yes. NNY Liberty says, plus the Chinese in Africa. Yes, absolutely. Donna says, remind me not to make you mad, Larry. Look, I'm gonna give you some inside information, Donna. As you know, I do some consulting with defense attorneys. And one of the reasons why I consult with them is many times the defense attorneys, they don't actually know how the criminal mind is actually working, or like how the system works. That happens sometimes. So they'll say, wait, this happened and that, but I don't get it. And then I will tell them, oh, no, this is how this actually worked. This is how the system actually worked. This is how he made the money. This is how he got this guy. This is how that worked. And they go, oh, yeah. So that's one of the things I do. So they understand how the system worked to make things work and figure out if it's actually illegal or not. Sometimes the systems people put together aren't illegal. Sometimes they are. But the point is you have to know what they're doing, right? Is it actually money laundering? Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Depends. Sometimes it's just avoiding banks. That can be money laundering, and that sometimes cannot be money laundering. It depends. So, yeah, that's one of the things I do. And of course, as a political consultant, I try to get people to do the right thing to win, of course. So, yes, it's kind of what I do. All righty. Let's see if I can go down here a couple more here. Shelly says Larry's in Marine mode right now. It's what I would do. I'm just saying. It's what I would do. And then Y says, don't play Risk with Larry. You should not. I often win. That's true. Yes, I often win. One of the games I used to play, but this is interesting, a little short story. Have any of you ever played the game Axis and Allies? It's like a little bit more detailed, a little bit more strategy, and a little bit less luck than Risk is. A little bit more strategy, a little bit less risk. Still a board game with rolling dice and such. So it's very similar, but a little bit higher level, if that makes any sense. I used to play that game for money in the Marine Corps. I'll get in the weekends, pull a game out. I said, somebody want to play me? I only play for money. I said, what? Yep, $20 a game. So play the game. If I win, you owe me $20. I was not playing. So they all want to play me. So like every weekend, I'd play at least one game of Axis and Allies. I would win every single time. I'd make 20, 30, 40, $50, $60 every weekend playing it. I still have the same Axis as game. It's like 30 years old. It's all old, but I still have it. It's my original. I still have it. I made so much money on that damn thing. So yes, I did play Axis and Allies for money. I put a lot of strategy war games when I was a kid. For those of you old enough, you may remember the game company Avalon Hill. They have since been bought out by Wizards of the Coast have bought them. When they also bought TSR, the guys who made Dungeons and Dragons, and they bought Avalon Hill. Avalon Hill, back in the day before we had a lot of computers, they did all the board games, and I used to play all of them. I still have a bunch of them. Squad Leader, Advanced Squad Leader, Luftwaffe, Starship Troopers, Third Reich. I used to play all those games. And I actually used to go to gaming conventions. Yes, what a geek. And I would play. One of my favorite board games to play was Diplomacy. If any of you played that game before. And I still have somewhere, I'll see if I can find it. I actually still have the plaque when I won Best Austria playing Diplomacy. So yes, I do those things. Anyway, Colia says, I don't like your ending, Larry. Well, the ending can be anyway. The ending can be we just go back to talking peace. I'm okay with that. So yeah, they go back to talking peace. Like we could do that too. Yes, we could do it also. It's okay. So, all righty. Ganji goes on to say, crazy idea, but people to remember it's the heart of negotiation to offer deals that will make it in everyone's best interest. There's 3 types of negotiating. 3 types. And I bring this up in some classes I teach. I teach this kind of stuff when I was in college, when I taught in college and such. 3 types. Number 1, win-win. Number 2, win-lose. Number 3, no deal. Those are the 3 ways you can negotiate, right? Win-win is the best. To your point, you make a deal where everybody is winning, and you usually do that if you want long-term success. Win-lose. If you either don't care if you win or lose, or 2, you want to make sure it's a short-term transaction. You just want a short-term transaction. You don't care if the guy loses. It's a short-term transaction. No deal. You don't want to work with them at all. You don't care. It's show or nothing. You don't care. Those 3 ways of negotiating. The best way for long-term is win-win. That's it. You are correct. Win-win is the best way. Absolutely. So Daniel says, very interesting gangster idea. It is. It's hardcore, right? It's hardcore. Otherwise, what do you do? Right now, Zelensky is in a very bad spot. He's not in a good spot right now. Can he get around it? Possible. I mean, it's possible, but he's in a bad spot right now, and he's got to get out of it. How do you get out of it? Well, are you going to, negotiate with Trump? You could, but now you've got to come back and you've got to completely kiss his butt now. Now, maybe he will. I don't know. But you got to completely come back, kiss his butt, I'm sorry puppy dog eyes, all that. And Trump is petty. He's going to make sure you pay. Now, the good thing about Trump is he's transactional. So if you come back and kiss his butt, he'll be like, okay, we're friends now. That's what he does. And it's a good thing. He'll just go, okay, now we're friends. J.D. Vance, I don't know. He still might be pissed off. Lindsey Graham, he's going to hold a grudge. That girl's going to hold a grudge. So yeah, Lindsey Graham's going to hold a grudge. Yes, I said that girl. Anyway, she's going to hold a grudge. It's no tomorrow. However, Trump, he's transactional. You kiss his butt, say we're good. He's fine. Move on. So he could do that. That's an option. The problem is he has to do that in front of everybody. That's tough to do as a president of a country. It's tough. Not saying he won't do it. It's tough. The other answer is try to be even harder. And to be forward, he does have, if he wants to play them, some very hardcore cards. That's it. So yeah. Anyway, all righty. Let me keep going down here if I could. I hope that makes sense at least. So, all righty. And then Why Liberty says, even our Civil War was an economic war. England backed the South over economics. They wanted the cotton for sales for their Navy ships. They ended slavery and didn't care. Slaves would harvest the cotton. Good point. Good point. Good point. Ryan, thank you for $55. There are 3 types of deals that are made: good, bad, and the Woodrow Wilson deal that made the Versailles Treaty that led to World War II. Love from history. Yes. Yes. But hold on. I want to be fair to Woodrow Wilson. He was a terrible president, 100%. But that actually wasn't his deal. That wasn't his deal. Just to be fair. Woodrow Wilson had the 14 points, for those of you who remember what that was. His concept was peace without victory. That was his concept. He just wanted to end the war. It was a fantasy thing that he just thought was good for whatever reason. I don't know why, but he thought, yeah, we can just end the war that killed millions, that made everybody angry, and we'll just act like it never happened. That was Woodrow Wilson. If his peace treaty was possible, it wasn't. But if it was possible, there wouldn't have been a World War II, to be forward. He did many terrible things, to include getting us in the war in the first place, to include starting the conversations and then leaving because he lost the Senate's confidence and the Senate refused to sign a peace treaty, which is why the Senate, by the way, did not join the League of Nations. For those who don't know, the precursor to the UN was the League of Nations. The League of Nations was set up in 1919, I think, 1920, in that area. Somewhere in that area was set up. And America was supposed to come in. And the Senate said, no, we're not even in a peace treaty. We don't care. We're not doing any of this. The U.S. Senate was like, go to hell, Woodrow Wilson. We're not going to be in your stupid peace treaty. We're not backing your 14 points. And we're not, no. Basically just no. And that screwed him over completely. He had no control over the Senate, and that's why it all collapsed. The Treaty of Versailles was not done with Americans really even involved. This was angry Brits and angry French punishing Germans. And when the Germans sent their guy there, the problem with the Germans at that point, many problems, but one of the problems with them is they were very concerned about protocol, very concerned about, just still are, about protocol, about, pomp and circumstance. So they sent one of the most senior guys to negotiate the peace treaty. He wasn't a diplomat. He was just an aristocrat who was an asshole who had a speech impediment. I'm not joking. That's really true. The Germans set a pompous aristocrat with a speech impediment to negotiate the Treaty of Versailles. Yeah. I don't, what were they thinking? They weren't. And the French and the British sent sharks. And that's what happens. So to give Woodrow Wilson the credit that's due, it actually wasn't his piece. His piece was the piece of the 14 points. If you look at that, Woodrow Wilson, 14 points. That's what he actually put together. So I was giving you guys some, I guess I do sometimes give you some kind of crazy history lessons I know here or there. I know. All right. Let me, if I could, go to another piece. Hold on. Let me, if I could. All right. This is a piece that is from Canada, believe it or not. All right. This is the Canadian Ontario Premier and what he says. And why does this matter? Because this is the only way, this is a way that this could actually backfire on Trump. It's possible. It could backfire.
Might do and what you yourself might do as the leader of a province there in Canada.
Well, we'll respond strongly, and we don't want to. On the critical minerals, I will stop shipments going into the U.S. for nickel. It will shut down manufacturing because 50.
This was my point. If people get hardcore against Trump's hardcore, if it happens, now will he actually do this? I don't know. I don't know this guy well enough. I don't know Ford well enough if he would do it. I wish I knew more about him. I don't. But if Ford actually does it, if he does what he's saying, we're just going to stop it. We will pay the price. We will suffer to punish Americans. That's what he's saying. Will he do it? I don't know. If he does it, and other Canadian provinces do it, and the Mexicans do it, and the Europeans do it, Trump's in trouble. That's all I'm saying. If that happens, I don't know if it will happen.
50% of the nickel you use is coming out of Ontario.
50% of nickel we use is coming out of Ontario. He's saying I'll shut it
I've
down.
ordered our bureaucrats to cut off tens of billions of dollars of contracts that we have with the U.S. We are the largest purchaser of alcohol in the world. We buy over 3,600 products from 35 states. I talked to the governor of Kentucky and Mitch McConnell. Don't touch our bourbon. I'm going after absolutely everything. And I don't.
Now, again, he's talking trash. Is he going to do it? I don't know. What if he does? What if he says, I'm going after everything. I'm shutting all American stuff down. I'm not buying nothing. We'll just suffer. His words are, we will stockpile it. We'll just sit it here and let it rot. Now, he's pissed off. I get it. If I was Canadian, I'd be pissed off too. Like, I'm not mad at him for being pissed off. I understand. Look what's behind him. Canada's not for sale. He's pissed. I get it. Will he actually do it? I don't know. If Zelensky would have done what I said, my gangster move, if he had done that, and then Trump said, to hell with you, you would have watched all of Europe do this.
Want to. We keep the lights on the 1.5 million homes and manufacturing in New York, in Michigan, and in Minnesota. If he wants to destroy our economy and our families, I will shut down the electricity going down to the U.S. And I'm telling you, we will do it. It's unfortunate. I would rather ship you more electricity, ship you more critical minerals. I want to ship you more energy, more potash to keep your farmers going, and uranium that you use for your nuclear power. It comes through from Saskatchewan over to Ontario.
And that's the issue. Saskatchewan gives us stuff too. Some of the oil we get is from those areas. If he's real, and again, I don't know if he is. I don't know this guy well enough to know if he's real or not. My point is, if he is, and he's serious, and other countries follow suit, we could be in a real trade war. Now you might go, okay, Larry, what does it mean for us? Well, some things are happening good. Like Trump just got a bunch of, the Taiwan country to say they're going to build a bunch of things in here. He got, is it a Mexican company that's going to like build some stuff here too? So he's got some people building stuff here too. So will it bounce out? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. That is the worry that I would have for this, right? That's it. Mastermind says, kiss your maple syrup goodbye. Maybe. That's it. Michael says, Canadian whiskey sucks. No, he's saying that he buys the whiskey. The Canadians buy this. Maybe you're right. Maybe the Canadian whiskey does suck, so they buy ours. So yeah, they're all buying our stuff. Yes. So Michael says, Doug Ford is legend. His brother, Tim Ford, mayor of Ontario, I think, is a crackhead. Oh, I remember that guy. Tim Ford, right. He was like dancing all drunk and high. I remember that guy. Yes, I do remember that guy. Yeah. So yeah. That's funny. Oh, that's his. I didn't know they're related. You know, they look alike. Like you say it makes total sense. Yes. All righty. NNY Liberty says, not sure what Ford will do with that nickel. Send it by train to the port of Montreal. Not really room for more longer trains. The Seaway, we control through Eisenhower Lock. Yeah. What he's saying is he doesn't care. They're just going to stockpile. I don't know if it's true. That's my point. I'm not sure if it's true. Maybe. My point is he's talking trash. Good for him. Canadian tough guy. I like it. Be tough guy. All good. Will he actually do it? When you're serious, it goes back to my point. When you're serious, you act serious. This guy is pissed off. This guy's like, you're going to wreck my economy. I'll wreck you. When you're really angry and you're serious, you act accordingly. Are we doing that in Ukraine? That's my issue. Are we doing that in Ukraine? I would say no. Ryan says, I put Woodrow Wilson's name in there as a joke. Yes. I hope you knew what I was talking about, though, Ryan. So thank you for $2, my friend. Yes. You gave me a chance. I could do a quick history lesson, which I do love doing. So I did a quick one. So I just love that stuff. Absolutely. So that piece, though, in general, when it comes to what I just showed you, this will be the only problem I have. If the French, Brits, and Germans actually decide to ignore Americans, to Trump, and to actually put troops on the ground in Ukraine, Trump could be in trouble. I'm not saying they will. They would all. Trump is gambling that all of these guys are not as tough as he is, are not tough. Tough's the wrong word. Tenacious. That's a better word. Are not as tenacious as he is. They're not prepared to burn things to the ground like he is. That's what he's counting on. And every time it's worked so far, right? Threatened going to invade Panama. Panamanians say, whoa, we'll give you a deal. We'll throw the Chinese out. Threatened to invade Greenland. Oh, no, we'll give you the deal, right? So, yeah, it's been working. This was my worry. I said this months ago. If you remember, I said a month ago, I said, my worry is the Democrats are so broken. The Democrats are so distraught that the Republicans now and Trump will go too far. They just go, I can do anything. Exactly. I can go buy Gaza and make it Disneyland East or something, right? They're going to start going that far and wind up going too far. That is my concern. And this is my issue. Yes. Joel says the risk game board is a toss across the room more often than Monopoly. Well, because risk always ends the same way. It always ends the same way. I had to change the rules of risk so we could play it better, because the way the game's rules go, it always ends the same way. So you guess about 2 or 3 turns in advance who's going to win, because you can see how the cards are going and you know who's going to win, and then you throw the damn thing away because you lost. So yes, true. Yes. Phil says, oh no, Wizard of the Coast. I know. Wizard of the Coast is a true story about Wizard of the Coast. At one point, they were making Magic the Gathering cards. They were making so much money off Magic the Gathering cards that they figured out that I knew I was hanging out with some girls who worked there, and I used to go to the events, so I'd meet them and go to special events all the time. I played a lot of Magic the Gathering in the 90s, a lot of it. So much so, by the way, that Wizard of the Coast had to change a rule based upon a deck that I put together. I won a tournament in Asia playing that game, and that it changed rules because of a deck that I made. True story. It's called the Pestilence deck. If any of you happen to play that game in the 90s. So yes. Any case, they were making so much money that if the government had given them the ability to print $1 bills, they would have said, no, thank you. I'm making so much money making cards. I'll pass. I don't want to print your money. They will make more money if they could just print $1 bills. Yes. So anyway, just some interesting stuff. So Massman says, Acts and Allies always end up in your role. Oh, yes. Yes. Love Acts and Allies. Great game. I do. Shane, I want to play Risk with you. Love that. That's awesome. I love that. That is great. Let's see if I can go here. Daniel says, Judge Knapp does his show calling Judging Freedom. It's good. Oh, yes. I know that one. Yeah. I know his show. All righty. All right. AC says, I've heard that those of them that share an idea with the funny man with the mustache car are now mostly departed. Are now mostly departed. No. Many of them have passed, yes, because they were fighting, but the units still exist. So a lot of the units still exist. So those units have people who are ideologically strong, maybe it's a good word to use, and who have combat experience. So when you refresh those units from the people who've passed, you still get better units. If that makes any sense. Versus new units that just made up or even literally just leave. So you still have stronger units, even though they aren't great units. You have stronger units. They're the best units to have right now. Particularly if you're going to go on the offensive. Going on the offensive is very tough. That's the issue. So Ray, $5. Thank you. I'm not against drugs, but do think Zelensky's on the white stuff? Maybe, but if he is, he's probably on the highest quality. He's got the cash for it. So he's probably on the highest quality. That's what I would assume. He probably has the highest quality, would be my guess. So, yeah. So anyway, I hope that makes sense. Michael says cannon fodder. Yes, sadly, most of the Ukrainian army, they use it as cannon fodder. It's terrible. Most of them they do. So yeah, most of them they do. It's also true. Ryan says also Germany's economy is in recession. Yes. They're in recession. The French are broke. Yes. And the French getting their butt kicked by the Russians. Yes. Rick says Trump should have canceled the meeting instead of engaging with Zelensky. I agree completely, Rick. I think what Trump said up front was correct. He should not be insulting people. He should not be, he's on the side of everybody, blah, blah, all good stuff he should have said. Zelensky, again, either didn't understand or made a mistake. I think people who think he didn't understand, he just screwed up. So, yeah, I think he just made a mistake. And then J.D. Vance made stuff worse. Trump should have canceled. I completely agree. Yes, he should have stepped in. I'm looking over at Instagram. If I hope I say it right, Ona Aria says, I live in Ontario, Canada, and he is real. There we go. And he also goes on to say it's Rob Ford, not Tim Ford. There we go. So we've got some clarity from the Canadians. Thank you, Ona. I appreciate it. Yeah, if he's serious and he actually does this, that's an issue. Trump has got to find a reason to back down. Now, Trump will never just back down. That's not who he is. He will never do it. He will have to find a reason to back down. That's how he'll do it. So if the Canadians are hardcore, if they act hardcore and do what they say, and again, I don't know this guy at all, so I have no inside information. I'm assuming Ona Arias is true. It knows what he's telling us the truth. So this guy's real, then good, okay. If he does it, Trump will have to find and he will. Trump will find a reason to back out. He'll be like, well, the Canadians did this thing. So there we go. We're really good. And we can stop now. He'll make up a reason. And he'll say, I won. See, the Canadians back down. I won. My assumption is whenever the new Canadian government takes over, whenever that happens, the odds are it will be a conservative government, but it might not. They have a new, I forgot her name, the woman who's running, who's popular. Friedman. Don't remember her name. She used to be a finance minister. She's popular. She could win, it's possible. But odds are to be a conservative government. I think Trump will make some deal with that conservative government and be like, see, now it works. And now I'm going to back out. I show those Canadians, and he'll shake his fist like he won. So, yes. All righty. Peter says, Larry, where are the absolute guarantees there are any significant rare earth minerals in Ukraine? Is that not true? The problem I know already is a bunch of those minerals are already controlled by Russian territory. That I know. But I don't know. Do we think that's not true? Peter, I don't know where you're going with that. I don't know. Maybe. Jim says, that's how we start a sovereign fund, Larry. Yes, Jim, I'm in. Let's start it. Yes. I agree. Yes. 100%. All righty. Let's see if I can get down here. Missy says, please subscribe. She's right, guys. Not just that. Hit the button known as LIKE, Lima, India, Kilo, Echo. If you haven't reposted this already, please do so. Share it. Of course, please do so. Follow me on Facebook, X, and Rumble. If you don't, you like war. See, why are you a warmonger? Stop that. And subscribe to me on YouTube. Click the all notifications. It does matter. Super chat me if you want to, or rant me. And if you super chat me or rant me, guess what? You might have a high chance of being on a Sharpe Way Short. You will be even more famous than you already are. You thought you were famous? You can be more famous. Become a member if you want to. Please, $49 per month. Click that join button. Every member does count. Makes everything a whole lot easier for everybody. And you can do it on Rumble if you want to by clicking subscribe only during the live. So, yes. All right, I'm grabbing some more of these if I can. I know you guys have thrown some more at me. I try to grab them if I can. So, Mastermind Hour says, I forgot the percentage, but the majority of Canadians live within 100 miles of the U.S. border. Yeah, it's cold up north. Got like is it Inuit Native Americans? Or, I'm sorry, they call them, in Canada, they don't call them Native Americans. They call them First Nation. Is that right? I think that's right. Canadians call Native Americans First Nation people or something like that. They have a different name. So this is the First Nation. They're First Nations. They're up there. I think they're Inuits. That's correct. So, yes. Joel says, in the electric market, if you're a supplier and fail to supply, you're responsible to pay for the replacement energy. Oh, is that right? Well, maybe they just go, no. Who's going to stop them? They just go, no. Who knows? And then why Liberty says, all the Canadian bigwigs are posturing for the coming election who will be next prime minister. That's what I'm saying. I think that what's going to happen is whoever's next prime minister, whoever pops up, Trump is going to make a deal with that person and say, see, we won. And then that's it. That's what I think is going to happen. So, yes. Mike said, Mike Voss in the house. Canada and Mexico need U.S. goods more than we need their stuff. They didn't comply. Thought Trump was bluffing or just empty politics. Trump is serious. Yes. However, if this is the part that people aren't getting, nationalism can be very strong, more than logic, more than anything. If this guy's serious and he says, to hell with Trump, we are not going to give anything. And if the rest of the Canadian premiers and the prime minister the same thing, if they do this, again, I don't know if they will, if they do, that's going to hurt Americans. It might hurt Canadians more. You may be right. But then what if Mexicans do it too? It might hurt Mexicans more. But now both of those hit us. Well, if Europeans go, oh, we got to fight this war with Russia without you? Good. We're going to do it. You're going to give us 25% tariffs? I'm going to do it to you too. If all of that happens, Trump will have to have so much new business come in from places like Taiwan and nothing he's doing to make up for that. Now, can he do it? Maybe. But it's really hard if they all jump on board. If just this guy, Ford, does it, you're right, Mike. It's going to affect them worse than us. You're correct. That isn't my issue. That's not even my concern. My concern if others follow. If others follow, that's the issue. If they do. I'm not saying they will. I don't know if they will. I don't know if they will. But Trump being more of a jerk towards Canadians is not helping us. It's making Canadians become stronger. In fact, you see it in Ukraine. A lot of Ukrainians aren't behind Zelensky, but when Trump calls them names, they get behind him. So it actually increases nationalism, which may not be a good thing for us if they're going to start affecting us in some way. So yes. The Unwashed Sword 10 says, hi, Larry, glad this is topic today. Oh, I'm glad. There we go. Mike says, Europe can't fight. Ukraine wiped out their ammo reserves in 90 days. They can't maintain military as they give up their trying in the 50s. Yeah, but they got cash. And the Poles have cash and money and a military. The Poles have some. The Poles could throw troops into the field today. So could, I mean, not much, obviously, could the Baltic states, but all the Baltic states could too. All the Baltic states, again, each Baltic state has maybe only 2 million people in it. I mean, they're not big. The highest one has maybe 3 million. So there aren't many people in the Baltic states. But again, if you just threw 10, 20,000, 40,000 troops into that field, if they were well equipped and well trained, that would still be powerful. One thing that Germans could create would be drones. They create tons of drones that they could do. So they could build the German. If the Germans were to do this, I'm not saying they will, Mike, but you're acting like it can't. Your words are can't, and you actually put bold can't. That's incorrect. Currently, they're not going to, but can they? Yes. And if nationalism shoots up and the Germans decide to change to retool themselves to making drones, the German economy could shove out thousands of drones every single month, tens of thousands every month. You start throwing out all those drones, drone operators, you're not going to train them much at all. Much at all. You could actually hire them if you want to. You could hire French, German, English, Swedish. You could hire the drone operators. Bring the drone operators in. Germans make the drones. You bring the operators in. That's up and running in 30 days. Exaggeration. 60 days. That's up and running in 60 days. You don't need that much ammunition. You got drones. Simple. Because once you have drone ammunition, it's cheap ammunition. It's not the specialized stuff, right? And again, could German manufacturing be turned over into just making cheap bombs? Yes. Remember, most of the German industry that has gone away was small German industry, medium-sized businesses. Easy to turn those around. Turn them into making grenades to be dropped from drones. Could be done. Will it be done? I think no. I think you're right. I don't think it will be done. But can it be? Yes. Nationalism will make people do all types of things. They will suffer through everything. That's why people think, well, if we bomb them, they'll stop. Never worked. You bomb them and it makes them angrier and they just stay. So it absolutely can happen. I'm not sure it will. So, And then Y says, Hasbro, the owner of WotC, Wizard of the Coast, isn't a bad financial state. You sure? No, I think WotC, which one bought which? I feel like WotC brought Hasbro. Hold on. I don't remember now. Now you're making me think. Okay. You are right. Hasbro bought WotC. I thought it was reversed. You're right. Thank you. Okay, there we go. Thank you. I'd forgotten which one was which. I knew they were the same company. I forgot which one was which. So thank you. All righty. And then Y says, who didn't play Magic in the 90s? What did you do, Larry? Yes, I did play. I still have a massive collection. Like binder. I have like 20 binders. Binders by binder. I've on the old. I haven't played in years. Like my card collection is probably worth a ton of money. I guess it is. I don't even know. I haven't checked. I haven't really like bought any new cards in probably 20 years. I don't know, whenever. It's been a long time. I taught my daughter how to play. Once in a while, I remember maybe 15 years ago, I would take my old decks and just show up at a mall where they would play. They're like, what is that? And I pull out a Mox or whatever. So I have a Mox, a bunch of old cards. So if you don't play the game, you know what that means. I have a bunch of old cards. I have like second edition, first edition cards, third edition cards, all kind of crazy stuff. So yeah. Anyway, all righty. Let's see here. Yeah. So anyway, my point with Mike is that of course they can. Of course they can. Right? When it comes to nationalism, of course they can absolutely fight if they want to. The question is, do the people get behind the nation to do so or not? That's the question. Will they do that? Yes. I mean, maybe. I don't know. Could they do that? Could they do that? Yes. That is my point. I think they could. So, all right. All righty. Kim says, Zelensky showed up in my opinion with a chip on his shoulder. I'm not sure if he had a chip on his shoulder when he showed up or after he got there. I think he's felt like he's been treated so specially for so long. So maybe I'd be open to that being true. Looking over on Rumble, Trade Dan, thank you for $2. I'm late. I hope I'm not repeating a question. Is Trump getting his way with EU security and EU resource support? I don't know what you're asking. Do you mean with them spending more money? Is that what you mean by that? Or you mean supporting in Ukraine? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Trade Dan. I'm not sure. There is no doubt that the EU is backing Zelensky with at least warm, fuzzy feeling. That's for sure. They're going to throw something at him. Probably cash is my assumption, right? The issue is, will they actually do what they're threatening to do? They're threatening, talking about actually sending French and British troops into Ukraine. Will they do that? Looks like at the moment they won't unless America will guarantee something. I don't think they will. So, because security in Ukraine after the war. Yes. No. He's not getting that yet. No, they don't want to, they're talking trash, but said, we still want America to do the guarantees. And right now, America has not agreed to that yet because Trump is pissed. So as of now, no. And then while liberals, yes, Christina Freeland. Thank you. I knew it was the F something. Yes. Christina Freeland, Christina Freeland is basically the new left leader in Canada. And the other guy, I forgot his name. It starts with a P. He is a French sounding name for the P. He leads the conservative side. And Freeland, while she is very smart, I mean, if you've ever heard her talk, she's actually very intelligent, very smart woman. She is the same way, though. She's just insult the left, insult the right. Trump's a bad guy. Trump is stupid. Orange man bad. She does not have any answers, sadly. And she should, because Freeland is actually a very smart, savvy woman. She should have answers, and she doesn't. She doesn't. She's just, Republicans are bad. Conservatives bad. That's her entire thing, and she really should have that. So, yes. So, all righty. Jim says, we could isolate them so fast, they're not going to jeopardize our supply of metals for very long. Again, I think it depends, right? It depends upon, does the rest of the world jump on board? Now, look, kudos to Doug Ford for stepping up for his own country, for hooping and hollering, saying he's going to fight Trump. Good for him, right? He's Canadian, loves his country. Good on you, man. Hooping and hollering on your own screen. The question is everyone else going to go with him? Now, he's basically said, follow me. That's what he said. The question is, who's going to follow behind him? If other countries follow behind him, Jim, we could find ourselves in trouble too. The question is, will the other countries follow him? So far, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it right now, but we'll see. I think the next couple of days will really decide that. The next couple of days will decide that. That's the key. We'll see if it happens or not. So, all right. Let's see here. Shelley says, I think Zelensky caught an attitude when he couldn't buy a seated president with a no-show job for an offspring. He thought it'd be business as usual. Part of that's absolutely correct. Part of that's true. And that was my point earlier, Shelley. I really think that Zelensky thought he was going to be able to have, look, I show up, I get my check, we move on. I think part of him thought that. And that isn't happening at all. Yes. Mastermind goes, I find it funny to see the cognitive dissidence from people who think Trump is wrong in Ukraine, but right in Gaza. You're not wrong. How about we end all the wars? How about we end them all? Let's make a deal. Let's end them all. I'm on board. Let's do it. Let's do it. Robert, how are you, sir? Larry, do you think there's a viable third party that can get off the ground in the midst of all this turmoil? If they can do it now, then third parties have to take serious self-reflection. If they can't do it now, yeah, third parties have absolutely shot themselves in the foot for the past couple of years. Absolutely true. I wish it wasn't true, right? We had a shot last year. I'm not going to go into it. Mike will be mad. I won't get triggered. But we actually had a shot, right? We had a shot last year and actually making things work, and we blew it. Is there a chance? There is a chance. It's not a high one, but there's a chance. Sadly, it's not the Green Party. They just haven't responded well. It's possible libertarians can do something in 2028, depending upon who steps up in 2026. Maybe a guy like me might. But there are others in 2026 who may step up. If a couple of heavy hitters in 2026 step up, then it's possible libertarians can do something in 2028. But it would take a couple of these heavy hitters to show up, not one, multiple of them, and they'd all have to do well. Could happen, maybe. Maybe if it's not libertarians may stop it because they want to virtue signal and the people won't be pure enough, so they'll just push them away. If that happens, it's possible for the We the People party to do something, because they would then take those same people who would step up, come into their party, and then move forward. So it's either libertarians or We the People, and it's only if the heavy hitters show up and do the right thing. So yes. Daniel says, at Peter, Mike is usually right, except against Larry. Lol. That's correct. Well done, Daniel. That is an accurate statement. Take that, Mike. That's correct. Accurate statement. Yes. Okay. So make sure we got that piece down. So, all right. Let's see here. The AC says, my point is that what I had heard was that those people in the battalion of the ideological bend are not so much around anymore, to the point where Russia actually has more. Oh, there aren't that many of them. That's true. Oh, yes. Okay. Maybe I wasn't clear. All right. There aren't as many of them. That's accurate. That's why they use them only for assaults. If you've noticed, I don't know if anyone's paying attention. I'm paying attention to war clearly. They literally will move these units from one front, hundreds of miles on the front, to make an assault. Because compared to the rest of the army, there's very few of them. That's true. Whoever told you that is accurate. Russia does have more of those ideological people and more troops in general. Russia has more of everything. They have more of everything. It's true. That's why most of the time the Ukrainians heavily stay on the defensive. Their offensive units are physically moved around the front to wherever they're going to attack. So they attack to the south, they move to the south, make the attack. And the north and the center is just people sitting in bunkers, basically. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's basically that, right? And then they'll shift them up and they'll go to another area. They go to Kursk and they'll fight in Kursk. They'll shift them back down and they'll go fight over here, right? So whoever told you that, oh, yes, it is true. That's accurate. They don't have that many, but those are the only ones they have, is what I'm saying. So if you're going to make an assault, you kind of have to use that. Dave says, what is a WotC? That's short for Wizards of the Coast. That is a name of a company that owns Magic the Gathering, the card game, and also Avalon Hill. And then Hasbro bought all of them. I wasn't sure which one bought which until you just showed me. There's the other guy. Thank you, Pierre. Is it Polivieri? Polivier? It's French, whatever that French is. That's the guy who may become the conservative prime minister. It may be him. So yes. All righty. Daniel says Larry is the only chance. Yes, you're right, Daniel. I am the only chance. Yes, absolutely. The AC says no. Most of the Nazis are dead, and they're now mostly Nazis. Yes, again, I think that's true. Yes, but what I'm saying is the ideology is still there, meaning the fanaticism and the training is still there, and the people at the top, they still have combat experience, and they train the people who come in when they bring them in. Is what I'm saying. Maybe I wasn't clear. I thought I was clear. Maybe it's me. I'm agreeing with what you and or your friend said, but the units that are elite are created based upon not just bodies showing up. It's based on tradition. Tradition is critical and key. So you come into a unit and the unit has done these great things and fought so hard that you still follow that model, whether you're part of that group or not. And the leadership still has that thought process. You can see it literally in their symbolism. Their symbolism is everywhere in that regard. So maybe that's clearer. I hope it is at least. So yes. All right. Okay. Peter says, Larry, I don't know nor care who Mike is, but I know Mexico's president has already placed 10,000 soldiers on Mexico's southern border before Trump was elected. And not to please Trump, Trump lies. I'm not saying we're on any of this. In fact, what I'm saying is, if the Mexicans follow what the Canadian Ontario Premier is saying, right? Again, this is him saying it. If they follow it, to be forward, Peter, I don't know if they will. I have no idea. But if they follow it, if they're like, yeah, you know what? You're doing that? We're going to stockpile our stuff too. We're not going to buy stuff from you. We're basically going to just, ignore you guys. If that's what the Canadian guy's saying, he's saying, I'm canceling buying stuff. That's his talk. I'm not buying stuff from you. That's what he said. And he said, I'm stockpiling my stuff, so I'm not selling it to you. So I'm not selling stuff to you. I'm not buying from you. That's what he's saying. If they think, if the rest of Canada follows him, and if Mexico does too, that's what I'm saying, we're going to be in trouble. And Mike is saying we're not. If what I said happens, Mike is incorrect. If it doesn't happen, then Mike's correct. One-on-one, Mike's correct. Canada will suffer far more than we will in a trade war. Mike's 100% correct. That's accurate. They will suffer more than we will. We will suffer too. They will suffer more. If the other countries follow, though, that's when we will suffer more. If 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 countries do that, each of them is only being hurt by us. We're being hurt by 5 or 6. So if that begins to happen, that's when we will suffer more. That's what I'm saying. I hope that's clear. So, but I don't know. From what I've heard, Mexico has not been aggressive towards us yet. We'll see, right? And then NY says Mexico just handed over a major cartel boss. The U.S. won a forex tradition. Well, there we go. Mexico may just be giving in. If Mexico gives in, then tariffs will go away eventually. That'll be Trump's excuse to get rid of the tariffs. Things will work. So yeah, I think it could happen. Yes, 100%. All right, the AC says, I get that you are. What I was trying to emphasize is for other people that think they need to yeah. I've always thought that. I've never been concerned about that. Yeah, their elite units tend to be that way. I don't mean to be mean, but if you look at our elite units in America, I know I was a Marine. I knew many people in elite units. I was a Marine. Let's just say they're very aggressive. How about that? They're very pro-America and aggressive. That's what I would say. That's kind of how that works. So that's kind of all the units. That's all I'm saying. So yes. Guys, I want to ask you a question if I could. Before we go, I want you to ask yourself, what drug do you think Zelensky is on? Because I'm seeing a whole lot of people saying White Claw and wine coolers, whatever it is, right? Let me know what you think in the comments once this is over. What do you think he is on? Guys, I want to say thank you for giving me a chunk of your evening. I'll be on tomorrow at 1 p.m. talking about the corrections problem in New York State on my radio show at 1 p.m. And I'll be on again tomorrow. And I will be on tomorrow, by the way, live streaming the Trump speech. So I'll be on earlier and then probably later too. I will see you all very soon.